The biggest lesson I learned is truly to just ask as many questions as possible. There really isn't a stupid question. I know it's very scary, especially coming into law and being so young, that you don't really want to ask those questions because you don't want to seem dumb. But truly asking all the questions, because you truly get out what you put in. That's what Adam likes to say a lot of the time. And having that experience to be able to ask a lawyer all different questions about the law truly has broadened my spectrum and my view of how I see law.
So the biggest lesson that I've learned this summer and in criminal defense in general is that the system truly isn't black and white. People's upbringings, mental health issues, substance abuse issues all play a role. And it really taught me to look beyond the charges and see the person.
The biggest lesson I learned during my internship was that everybody really does deserve a second chance, and there's a lot more to a person than what's written on paper, and more than their charges and sometimes even their biggest mistake. And getting to know these people, you can really see that there's so much more to them than what's written on the paper.
The biggest lesson I learned was to be more open-minded. One of the cases that I worked on this summer was a DUI manslaughter, and I remember Adam actually asked me, do you think that whenever somebody kills somebody, they should automatically go to jail? And at first my answer was yes, because it was outrageous to me to think that that would never happen. But after seeing some of the mitigating circumstances in that case, honestly, my answer would change now. So being more open-minded and realizing that there are truly gray areas in the law was something really cool to see.
The biggest lesson I learned at this internship was to never judge a story without knowing all the information, because we often see news articles and things about criminal charges and you make a judgment before actually knowing. And I really got to see through this internship that everyone has a side of their story that should be told.
There was this one case, and I won't say the client's name, but the client's sister was talking to the firm about his case, and he had no one, and the sister also had no one other than the law firm. And I saw the team rally and unite to comfort her, to support her in her time of need, and also her brother. And that was just very impactful, because I saw that, yes, these are cases, yes, these are, docket numbers and everything, but they're also real people. These are also people who are going through this in their day-to-day life. It's on their mind every single day. Seeing the impact it had on others and how the team here handled it, it was the most impactful thing.
The most impactful case for me has been a case in which we went to Fort Myers to watch an arraignment of a man who has committed 3 murders, allegedly. And it's impactful because I think it emphasizes the importance of mental health and the way that mental health patients are treated in our criminal system.
In terms of cases, I had the privilege of working in an active case here at the firm that I was able to work on from the beginning of my internship up until now, and I had a wonderful time. It related to insanity defense and self-defense and in cases of intoxication, which are all areas that interest me from the beginning, so I had a wonderful time working on that case. And in terms of project, I had a fun time with the marketing project. We were able to interview our attorneys to ask about prior cases, which was also a fun time.
The most impactful case that I worked on this internship was definitely a DUI manslaughter. So in the case, a woman was driving and her cousin was in the car, and the cousin did end up passing away. It was really, hard to work on this case at the very beginning because it was a family member who passed away and it wasn't, like a second party. It was really hard and, interesting to kind of go through all the little details in the case and really try to, mitigate, really try to think about what should happen to this individual because, the family has already lost someone and they don't want to lose another person. So it's really thinking about what should the state system do.
I worked on a case about a DUI manslaughter, and I got to actually meet the client, and I think that case to me was the most impactful because that was the case where I really learned that there is so much more to people than the charges that you see on paper. The young lady had 7 charges against her, and we met her and we learned that she's taking care of her entire family and she's been punishing herself nearly every day for these crimes. And it really led me to reflect on the justice system and how sometimes punishing people isn't always the best option.
Interesting and impactful case I worked on was a DUI case that involved random violations and reasonable suspicion issues. I really enjoyed learning the constitutional issues surrounding the case as I love constitutional law, so it was really cool to understand how constitutional rights could be violated in such a simple but complex case like a DUI case.
I'd say the case that I found most impactful this summer was one where we have a client who is accused of attempted murder, but it's due to his mental state that he was unable to realize what he was doing. And being able to work on a case like that is really important to me, because that's the reason I would want to do criminal defense, is to help people who have clearly been accused of something that, while they may have done it, they don't deserve the charges that are being pushed against them.
I'm interested in criminal defense. At first, I thought I wanted corporate. Everything was about numbers and finance to me, and it still kind of is. I'm just realizing now that I can incorporate that in with criminal law, because I do want to be a litigator. I do want to be in a courtroom. So if I'm able to do financial criminal defense, white-collar defense, that's golden.
I don't know, really. I think being criminal defense is really cool. I also want to see the public side, so maybe I might intern for, a public defender, but I also think, learning from the state side is also going to be really cool. I don't really know where I want to go, so I'm just going to explore all my options.
After this summer, I definitely want to pursue criminal defense because I have a lot of empathy for people that are going through, quite frankly, the most difficult part of their life. And I do believe that everyone deserves a fair shot, just because there's obviously a lot of people out there that suffer from mental health issues, substance abuse issues, that have been raised in a certain way where they haven't been given as much opportunities. And I truly do believe that everyone deserves the chance not to have their story overlooked.
I am currently interested in white-collar defense. I worked with an attorney here who did do a lot of work with white-collar defense, and I found it fascinating. I'm also interested in medical malpractice, so we'll see where the wind blows.
I am interested in criminal defense, specifically for prosecutor. I have always been drawn to criminal law, and this area specifically of prosecution has really always spoken to me, but I don't say no to criminal defense for public defender in the future.
In this internship, we did get to talk to a lot of speakers and a lot of presenters, some that were outside the realm of criminal defense and the criminal law system in general, and just being able to talk to people in the courtroom. I would say that this internship did open the doors to possibly doing other types of law, but I don't have my mind set on one particular type of law. But I would definitely say that one law that I'm looking more into now than I did before is more of the corporate path.
I'm still very unsure about where I'd like to practice, but I think being here this summer has definitely solidified that I do want to work in the criminal aspect, either on the prosecutor or the defense side. I think I'm leaning more towards prosecutor because we got to speak with a prosecutor, and it was really important to me to see that she works to put away bad people.
I'm personally interested in learning about corporate law and entering that field. I really want to end up in New York, where I'm originally from, and learning about the business aspect of the legal field.
Personally, for me, I would say I'm probably going to be sticking to more of the civil side of law, and it was really nice to be able to figure that out at a young age. I'm really grateful for my experience at this internship, and I do think that it was really important because it really opened my mind to things that I had never considered before, but I would say I will probably fall on the civil side.
I'm interested in criminal defense because I think everyone has a right to tell their side of the story, and I think it's important that our human rights are protected during legal processes.
I'd say now I'm leaning a little bit more towards prosecution. As I said, seeing that you can still do good work on the prosecution side helps me realize that even though I wanted to be a defense attorney, prosecution holds a lot more power than defense attorneys do in the courtroom. So being able to press either the right charges or to make deals that are fair to defendants would be very beneficial to the criminal justice system.